Welcome. Today's our topic is why do we suffer? Understanding the reality of life. In this third session of our journey, we address the most fundamental question of the human experience. Why is there so much dissatisfaction and pain in our lives? The Buddha's first great teaching was the recognition of dukkha, a word often translated as suffering, but it also means unsatisfactoriness, stress, or a sense of off-centeredness. The Buddha taught that suffering is not a punishment or a mistake. It is a natural reality of existence. He pointed out that birth is suffering, aging is suffering, illness is suffering, and death is suffering. We suffer when we are separated from the people and things we love, and we suffer when we are forced to be with the things we dislike. Even in our happiest moments, there is a subtle layer of anxiety because we know deep down that the moment will eventually end. But why does this happen? To understand why we suffer, we must look at the second noble truth, the cause of suffering. The Buddha identified the root cause as tanha, or craving. This is the persistent, thirsty reaching of the mind for things to be different than they are. We suffer because we want the world to be permanent when its nature is to change. We want to be eternally young, but our bodies are designed to age. We want our loved ones to stay forever, but all things that arise must also pass away. When we grasp at these changing things, expecting them to provide lasting security, we are like someone trying to catch the wind in a net. The harder we pull, the more we suffer. This craving shows up in three ways. First is the craving for sensual pleasures, always seeking the next taste, sight, or sound to distract us. Second is the craving to become something, the endless drive for status, power, or a perfect identity. And third is the craving to get rid of things, the desire to push away pain, uncomfortable feelings, or people we find difficult. It is important to understand that the world is not causing our suffering. Our attachment to how the world should be is the cause. We suffer because we live in a state of resistance. We resist the truth of impermanence. We resist the truth that we cannot control everything. Beyond the external events of our lives, we must also look at the suffering caused by our own mental habits. Often we suffer twice for the same event, once for the experience itself, and a second time for our mental commentary about it. We feel a physical pain, and then we add layers of, why is this happening to me? Or, how long will this last? This secondary suffering is entirely created by the mind. By observing this process, we see that while pain in life may be inevitable, the extra weight of suffering we carry is something we can learn to set down through the power of awareness. The Buddha's teaching on suffering is not meant to be pessimistic. It is actually a message of great hope. By diagnosing the cause of the disease, he showed us that a cure is possible. When we stop demanding that life be perfect, we find that we can be at peace even in the midst of imperfection. When we understand that suffering is born from our own cravings and attachments, we begin to change our relationship with life. We move from a state of wanting to a state of allowing. We learn to appreciate the beauty of a flower without needing it to never wither. We learn to love deeply while accepting the reality of loss. Understanding why we suffer is the first step toward freedom. It is the beginning of the path where we stop fighting against the flow of life and start walking with wisdom and grace. May you look deeply into the nature of your own mind. May you see the roots of your attachment. May you find the peace that comes from letting go.